accountability. Hey, how you doing? Welcome. Just good. Can I get a rewind? Yeah, jumped on. How do I start these? So difficult working out how to start these things, I'll be honest with you. It's so awkward. So I guess we start at the beginning. This is the first episode of the P for Imperfect series. We will be working through A, B, C, D, E, F, G, etc. all the way to Z, looking at elements of men's personal development. So if it's the first one, it must be A. It has to be accountability. It's a basis. It's a foundation which all men's personal development seems to share. You know, this idea of I will be accountable. I will take responsibility for the consequences of my actions, whether intended or unintended. So just listen to that again, because it's easy to hear, but I want you to really hear it, right? Because it's not just a definition of a word. It's a manifesto for stepping into empowerment. It's a manifesto for stepping into responsibility. It's a manifesto for stepping into good relationship, right? I accept the consequences of my actions, whether intended or unintended. So why is that a manifesto for empowerment? It's really easy for me to walk around in my life thinking that there are no consequences to my action or inaction, right? Because I don't feel powerful, right? Do you see that? If I am not powerful, nothing matters. Doesn't matter if I don't do that. Doesn't matter if I do that. As soon as I start accepting the fact that if I do or don't do something, there is an impact on those around me, well, that means I have to accept on some level that I'm powerful. I have to, like night follows day, right? Because if I did something and there's no effect, it doesn't matter if I'm here or not. If I don't do something and there is no effect, well, it doesn't matter if I do it or not. But that's not the truth, is it? The truth is every action or inaction as a consequence to someone, and usually a consequence to me. So the process of accountability, of being willing to accept the consequences for my action, inaction, means that I am accepting that I am powerful, right? Which is a really important first step on the doing the work journey, right? It's a really important step to admit that I have power, to accept that I have power, and what I do or don't do matters. It also means that the world doesn't begin and end with me, right? Because it's going to have consequences on others. And if I'm willing to accept the consequences that it has on others, it means I have to face it. It means I have to look at my relationship to other. How am I treating you? And what is the effect it's having on you? Am I keeping my word to you? And how does that affect how you see me? And it also means that I start to be a master of my own destiny, because when I say something or do something, or don't they say something, don't do something, it has an effect on me. So if I control what I say and what I do, I can start to control the feedback that I get. So I start to manifest my own reality. It's also an outside. There's also an outside dimension to accountability, which means it's really important too, where I can invite men to shine a light on my accountability for me. You know, which means I then have to hold myself to a higher regard. So let's break it down so that you have an example. Men's groups, I believe, for a healthy running men's group, and I believe the Mankind Project has really fantastic tools to teach men how to be in circle with each other, to be in groups with each other. And one of those is how to use accountability. And it's one of the first things that we do in any group that we gather in, is to look at my accountability to the commitments I've made to these men, to the other men I'm in a circle with, and to hold myself to account if I'm not in integrity with those commitments. Why? Why is that so important? Because we're trying to support each other to be better men. We're trying to support each other to, and I don't mean better in terms of, oh, ain't we nice? I mean better in terms of, this is the standard that I've told you all that I want to live by. Will you challenge me if I'm not doing that? Will you give me space to challenge myself if I know I'm not doing that? I mean, we will be looking at mission and purpose, and that runs in parallel to this, because you have the idea of the man you want to be, the idea of the life that you're willing to live, that is in tune with your purpose, which is in tune with your values. And then you hold that as like a measuring stick to your growth. Am I growing a lot straight towards that? Am I veering away? And well, if I'm veering away, what do? I hold myself to account. If I am out of integrity of living a life to the standards that is in tune with the man that I declare that I want to be. So it stops the bullshit, because I can walk around saying all this stuff. I can walk around saying, I want to be this and I want to be that, and I believe in this and I believe in that. But my actions, and more importantly, the consequences of my actions, tell the truth. That tells a story of where I'm going. Don't judge a man by what he says. Don't even judge him by his actions. Judge him by the consequences of his actions. Because usually that's subconsciously what he's trying to do. Right? I want you to hear that. Don't judge a man by his words. Don't even judge a man by his actions. Judge him by the consequences of his actions, because that's the world he's actually really trying to create. And it may not be the one he's consciously doing. So you can't blame him for it. I can't blame myself when my shadow, we'll come to that, when my subconscious is enacting a strategy that has kept me safe for a long time, but is now causing damage. I can't blame myself for that. I can't shame myself for that. But the first step of changing it is accepting responsibility for the consequences, and through a process of accountability, look at what may have been the subconscious strategy or belief that I've been, by its nature, invisibly enacting, that has caused this consequence. So it all starts with accountability. It all starts with the simplest steps. Say you're on the first step of your personal development journey. A really great thing you can do is just start doing what you say you're going to do. If you do it, say it. Or rather, if you say it, do it. And if you don't do it, admit that you didn't do it. And accept consequences, good or bad. Why is that so important? Because that's how we measure ourselves. Look how important word is to man. Is this a man of his word? Is this man keeps his word? That was all we had before we had laws. So all we had was accountability and integrity, and we were judged by that. And it doesn't just go to what you say outwards. You know, if I'm working with a man, his life is in chaos, the first thing often I'll do is I'll ask a really simple question, which is, what time do you get up every day? And usually if there's chaos, a man will go, I don't know, sometimes I get up early, sometimes I get in a little bit late, it depends what I've been doing the night before. Okay. Depends on how I'm feeling. Sometimes I just feel like I need to take care of myself. Okay. The first agreement I get them to make with me is to be definite, is to set a time that they get up every morning. And it don't even matter if it's early, but it just has to be a set time, because that way you're creating, you're starting the day by keeping a promise to yourself. You're showing yourself that you're powerful. If you say, I'm going to get up at 7, and you don't, you keep getting up at 8, half 8, 9, snoozing, you are telling yourself that you're not a man of your word. You are telling yourself that you do not have the mental strength to do what you say you're going to do. So the best thing you can do is go make a commitment with someone. That's what time I'm going to get up. And I'm going to hold myself accountable to you. I'm going to choose to own that I haven't done that and why. And maybe even set a forfeit for myself if I don't, until I start doing it. Because then you are starting the day being a man of your word. Then you are starting the day honouring your commitments. Then you are starting the day telling yourself that if I say something, I'll do it. Then you're starting to get powerful. And that's why accountability, having accountability partners, is so integral. Because the very definition of doing the work is becoming the man that I want to be. And how can I do that if, one, I'm not clear about what it is, and two, I don't hold myself accountable when I'm not, because there's no lessons to learn. I'm just forgiving myself over and over and over and over and over and over again. I'm never looking at the root problem. So if you're watching this, you're new to the men's personal development journey, look at your accountability. Look at where you're out of integrity in your life. Maybe with the big things, with your values. Where are you acting out of alignment with your values? If you say you're ambitious, if you say you're hardworking, well, let's even break it down for that. Say you've got a job. If you've got a job, whether you have said it recently or not, if you're telling them that you're going to turn up at 9 and work till 5, if that's in your contract and you don't do that, you're breaking a commitment to your boss, one way or the other. And you're breaking an agreement that you made. It don't matter if your boss is a jerk and he doesn't deserve your being there on time. You said you were going to. So if you said you were going to, do it. Because that means that you're powerful. That means that you have control. That means that the very definition of power is what I think becomes manifest in the world. If I say I'm going to be there, I'm going to be there. And if I don't, I hold myself to account. I admit where I'm out of integrity. I don't try and dodge it. I don't think I'll get away with it. I don't make up lame excuses. I say that I made something else more important and I broke my word. Because that's how we become powerful. That's how we start bending ourselves into the shape that we could have been. It's the first step on the journey is, I'm here. What I say and do matters. That's the first step. And then beyond that is, and what I say, I will do. And who I am, I will stay in alignment with that. And people notice that. So we start to get our self-esteem raised. People start to notice when we keep our word, when we meet our obligations. You know, and some of these things, like I said, some of these things are explicit contracts, you know, oaths, things I said I was going to do. Some are not. Some are more implicit. You know, you're going out with someone and the assumption is you'll be faithful. And then you're not. Well, you never said you were going to be. There was no contract. You didn't sign it down. But there was an assumption, right? And then you're not keeping that. So make a decision, get honest about it, or start doing what you say you're going to do, or if it ain't working for you, get out. But don't start letting things violate your values. Don't start letting things make it okay for you to bend the truth. Because if you're bending the truth in your own mind, where else are you bending the truth? And it's Nietzsche who said, the truth is what exists when everything else has been removed. All that actually exists is the truth. So when I think people are speaking about my truth, I think they're talking about living lives of integrity. And you cannot live a life of integrity unless you are willing to be accountable when you are not in integrity. Because that's where the learning is. So what do you do about this? Start doing what you say you're going to do, or admitting when you haven't. Start making implicit agreements explicit. Get clarity, right? Because for you to do what you say you're going to do or not do something, you need to know exactly what that is. So it starts even firming up your relationship. It extends beyond you. Accountability. The cold light of accountability is a rough place to stand, but it's where the growth is. So I'm never like really telling people what to do, but I'm going to tell you what to do here. If you're not in a men's group, find a men's group and find one that will encourage you to hold yourself accountable, that will encourage you to look at your integrity when you don't show up as the man you want to be. Because if you can't measure it, it ain't going to change. All right? So, accountability. There we go. Such an important part of men's personal development, not to be overlooked in any way, shape, or form. If you want to be the man you want to be, you're going to have to start doing what you say you're going to do. Like night follows day. All right. I hope that was useful. Stay connected. Keep doing the work.